I'm Dr. Kristen R. Bromley. This video series, which is part of my online music academy, specifically accompanies Chords and Harmony Books 1 and 2 from my Method Book series. Like all my books, this selection is available to purchase through Amazon and Google Play. For help, see the links in the description below. In the videos which are part of this specific course, I progress through the lessons in Chords and Harmony Books 1 and 2, explaining and demonstrating concepts and playing each of the songs and exercises contained therein, so you can hear how they sound and play them right along with me. You are of course welcome to view these videos with or without the book, but with the book you can work through all the songs and exercises, and in the process learn all the various types of chords used to play music on the guitar and master your chord playing abilities. Alright, let's get to jamming in this lesson. Alright, welcome back. Here we are in lesson 18. This lesson is all about slash chords. So slash chords are a new type of chord. They're so named because the chord symbol has a slash in it, so a diagonal line. On this diagonal line, we have on the left side the actual chord symbol. So this is a D chord. The next one we're talking an A7, G minor, and D add 9. These are the examples you have on page 118 in the book. On the right side of the line is a new bass note. So for example, when we play an F chord, the bass note is usually the root or the F note in the chord, and that's usually the lowest note. If we play a C, for example, the C is usually the bass note or the lowest note of the chord. If we play a G chord, it's usually a G. If we play A minor, it's usually an A. If we play B7, it's usually a B. So now we're changing the bass note of that chord. So, in this case, we have a D over F sharp. So now we're playing a D chord with an F sharp in the bass. We're not really changing the root of the chord, we're just changing the bass note. Although sometimes when we do that, we could reanalyze the notes of the D chord in relation to that F sharp, or in relation to whatever chord is over whatever note, new note, and you might actually come up with a new chord, especially types of chords like suspended chords and 7th chords, 13th chords, and so on, that we're going to learn later in the book. But in this case, D over F sharp, we just get that F sharp on the bottom now for our new chord, D. We have an A7 over E. Notice that I'm saying over. That's how we pronounce slash chords. We say the chord, which is on the left side, and then we say what it's over, what bass note it's over now. So D over F sharp, A7 over E, so we'd have an A7. Normally we have the A in the bass. Now we could have an E in the bass. Changes it up just a little bit. G minor over B flat, so G minor, and then we put the B flat on the bottom, changes it just a little bit. G minor over B flat, D add 9 over A, normally over a D, now we put it over an A. In the instance of these four examples, these are what we call inversions, because the new bass note is actually a note from the chord. F sharp is the third of the chord. So we're putting the chord over the third. That's called an inversion. Chords in root position have the root on the bottom. First inversion chords have the third on the bottom. Second inversion chords have the fifth on the bottom. And if they're 7th chords and they have the 7th on the bottom, then they're third inversion. Like A7 having a G on the bottom would be a third inversion. So A7 over E, E is the 5th, this is in 2nd inversion. G minor over B flat, B flat's the 3rd, we're in 1st inversion. D add 9 over A is the 5th, we're in 2nd inversion. So those are inversions. There's other notes that can belong to the chord. Sometimes, or other notes that the chord can be placed over, and this is sometimes when we're actually describing a chord that we could write with a different analysis. As we continue through the book, we're going to be learning about suspended chords. We're going to be learning about major sevenths and minor sevenths, dominant sevenths, sixth chords, 6/9 chords, chords that have sevenths and ninths, chords that have ninths, 11ths, and 13ths, and so on. Sometimes we can describe them in this context as a slash chord, and later on we would maybe be easier to describe them in another fashion. But sometimes spelling them out in the slash fashion sort of helps us know the voicing that we're looking for on guitar. And so we can get there. Now, the notes that these chords usually get placed over them. So you can see there on page 118, right in the middle of the page, we have examples of chords over C. Major chords, usually when we have a slash chord, most of the time we have the major chord placed over a note from the major scale, or the flatted seventh. Sometimes we'll have a major triad, the root third and fifth, over a flatted seventh. And so that in the middle of the page there, you're seeing written out in notations C, a little C chord, C major over C. And then we have that C major chord over D. So over step 2 of the scale. Then it's like, oh, you got C major over E. Now some of these are going to get pretty difficult to play as written. These are theoretical examples, which are easy to do on piano. Some voicings aren't easy to do on guitar, but there's C over E. So that's over the third. Some people would consider that a first inversion. Slash chords is another way of indicating inversions, but also other types of chords too. We get the C over F. So this kind of creates a suspension sound. We get the C over G. So second inversion. You could have the C over the A, if I can reach it. It's a big reach. You get that C chord over B flat, or over the B natural. Now these aren't the normal way that people play them, because it's quite a stretch. And as we go on to the seventh chords, it's not even possible to do closed position. That means contained within an octave. Seventh chords over some of these. So the voicings that we're going to use are going to be different. But when it comes to dominant seventh chords, most of the time what we see the slash chords written as is, so we have the root position one. You could have C7 over E, so over the third, over the fourth, over the fifth, or over the flatted seventh. We don't usually see it over steps 2 or 6, or the natural 7, obviously, because it's a dominant seventh chord. And then the minor chords, it's the same sort of thing. We sometimes will see a minor triad. We obviously see it over a root. We can see it over the flatted third. We can see it over a flatted fourth, or not a flatted fourth. We can see it over the fourth sometimes. You'll get them over the fifth sometimes, and you'll get them over the flatted seventh. I'll do this. My flatted seventh's a little lower, but can't quite reach that. Almost. So these are the slash chords. So there's another type of chord that has a line through it. It's called a polychord. It actually means 2 chords on top of each other. So slash chords have the chord and then a replacement bass note, a replacement note to be on the bottom. These are particularly popular when looking at piano music, because you can see, oh yeah, I just put this new bass under this little triad or this chord. Polychords, though, are written where the line is completely horizontal. So it's a horizontal line, and you have the D on top means a D chord, and then E minor on bottom means an E minor chord, not just a replacement bass note, but an actual chord. So this works really great with piano too, because you could put E minor in your left hand and D in your right hand and create this chord. On guitar, it's really hard for us to think of chords this way. It's not very common that people will write chord symbols as polychords, 2 chords on top of each other, because these chords always have another way of explaining them. So as we progress through the book and learn about those 7th and 13th chords and so on, these chords can always be explained in some other fashion. But if you had D minor, or a D on top, and then you had E minor on bottom. So it's impossible to really finger it, but I could get one that is in first inversion, a G on the bottom here, but we can finger that way on guitar. But it's like this taller, bigger chord when you get 2 chords stacked on top of each other. Those are called polychords. We're not going to be playing any polychords in the book. As I said, they're not really all that popular for guitar, because we can't physically conceive of triads on top, triads on bottom. It takes 6 strings to do it, and we can't always finger the 2 chords as is. It's just not possible with how far you might have to reach on strings and so on. So, but we do see slash chords a lot for some of our favorites. So, as the lesson progresses, the first thing that we're going to do is look at some open slash chord voicings. So some voicings down here in first position and ways of playing slash chords. There are more than one option, but the ones that will be shown here over the next few pages are going to be some good examples. And then we're going to look at how to do these with bar chords, so movable shapes. After that, we'll actually play some progressions that come from some great pop songs. And in those progressions, we'll get to practice in a real context, hearing some of these chords get played. For example, so let's go ahead and look at page 119, and we'll get started with some of these voicings in first position. Okay, so here we are starting on page 119 with number 1. We're going to do the open position slash chord voicings. These are written out kind of in progressions that progress through the different options of notes that can go under them. These aren't all exclusive options. These are just some that kind of get you started. You can create these types of voicings by simply taking what you know as a chord. In this case of the first one, we have A major. We know how to play our A major chord in first position. So if it's over something, then we use our bottom notes, the bass strings on the guitar. The bass strings on the guitar are the 4th, 5th, and 6th strings. Most of the time, we find it helpful to have our bass notes be on 5th and 6th, but sometimes it's going to be on the 4th string. So we've got diagrams of the neck in other places, but you can replace what you're playing, A, so this open 5th string, with the note that's the replacing bass note. Put it on one of those bottom strings as the lowest note of that chord, the new bottom string. And so as we go, we're going to kind of just go through these voicings kind of slowly, and these are some examples. They're not all sort of inclusive. They're just one example. Sometimes you could actually play more strings than are here, or voice it differently. But we'll just kind of go through these. So number 1, we're going to start with A major. As we play these, I'm just going to pluck or strum them and hold it for 4 counts, and then we'll move to the next one so we can kind of hear these different sounds and try them out. You've got it written there in tabs, so you can follow along, or if you want to pause each one, you can see how I play it. Well, I should say, in playing some of these with A major, I'll often bar the A instead of fingering it like so. And we know that you can play an A major, you can see in that first example, with the high string open, just to sort of facilitate the next voicing up. It's going to sound best without that E on top, perhaps, and it's being muted. But those notes could be included if I wanted to. So here we go with number 1. We got 1, 2, ready, and I have an A chord, 2, ready, then the A over B, 2, 3, the A over C sharp, 2, 3, 4, the A over D, 3, 4, the A over E. Now I just played it with my second finger, and and that's one way to play it, and then the way that's written there actually puts the E on bottom, the low 6th string, and either one is okay. The reason the low 6th string example is there is because A over F sharp is coming next, and we're using that one. And then, so on that line, as written, you'd have 1, 2, ready, and we got A over E, 2, 3, 4, A over F sharp, 2, 3, 4, A over G, A over G sharp, and then A. So A over G is the flatted 7th, A over G sharp is the major 7th, and then we have the A. Alright, let's go on and look at number 2 now, which is A minor instead of A major. So we have our A minor chord, and then we'll go on. So 1, 2, ready, and we have A minor, 2, ready, and then A minor over C, so over the 3rd. Then we're going to have A minor over D, 2, 3, A minor over E, 2, A minor over G, and then A minor. So A minor over the 3rd, 4th, 5th, flatted 7th, and then there. Let's flip over to page 120. Okay, so here we go with number 3 on page 120, the B dominant 7th chord. So we're going to start with B7, 2, ready, and then we're over the D sharp or the 3rd, ready, then the E, so it's suspended, and then we're over F sharp, and then we're over the A, and then we're back to B7. Let's take a look at number 4. Okay, so here we are with number 4, C major now, and we're going to start with the C chord, and then we're doing C over D, we got C over E, C over F, we got the C over G, we have C over A, C over B flat, C over B, natural, and oops, back to a C chord. Okay, so we have number 5 now, D major. So let's see, we got D, then we're going to have D over E, we have D over F sharp, D over G, D over A, these are all great sounds, D over B, D over C, D over C sharp, and back to D. Let's look at D minor now. We've got D minor, so this is number 6, D minor over F, D minor over G, D minor over A, D minor over C, and back to D minor. We'll go over to page 121 now, and we'll do number 7, where we have E major. So we have our E major chord, we have E over F sharp, we're going to have E over G sharp, we're going to have E over A, we have E over B, we have E over C sharp, we have E over D, we have E over D sharp, and we're back to E. Let's look at number 8 now, E minor. So we have our E minor chord. We could play the whole E minor chord. This one's just kind of thrown in there with those 4 notes because E minor over G it sounds good with the 4 notes, so we kind of hear a little more clearly these inversions. But so we have E minor, then we have E minor over G, E minor over A, E minor over B, E minor over D, E minor, and back to E minor. And that one shows kind of that, well, you could do the top string E as I played it, or as written there, back to the low one. I did the top one so we could hear it resolve up to the E minor. Either way, like I've said before, there's more than one option, and depending on the music you're playing, you could pick a slightly different option. Sometimes with these, we play as many strings as we can. Sometimes we limit it down to 3 or 4 strings only when we're playing them. Okay, let's look at number 9, F major. So we have F major, and then we have F over G, we have F over A, we have F over the B flat, we have F over C, F over D, F over E flat, F over E, and F. Well, seventh ones are a little rich. Some of those on this particular one, but on some of the others it sounded pretty nice to have some of those. These are all commonly seen from time to time, as we will see when we do the actual examples. On page 1, then at the bottom of page 121 we have number 10. So we have the G chord. This is again an example where we're just sort of plucking for the notes. But we have the G, G over A, G over B, G over C, G over D, G over E, G over F, G over F sharp, and back to G. And those are some examples of those ones. Now let's flip over to page 122 now. We're going to look at movable shapes. We're going to look at bar chord shape options with these. Okay, so here we are on page 122. We're going to do movable slash chord voicings now, meaning like taking our bar chords and turning them into to slash chords, changing the bass note on these. And so we mainly have major shapes and minor shapes for these, and then that major chord over the flatted seventh, which is a dominant seventh shape. There aren't dominant seventh chords exemplified here in the book. You could foreseeably do it, as was mentioned early on and back in the last exercises. We did that with number 3 with the B7. These kind of chords written as bar chord or slash chords in the kind of music we're playing are really rare, but they could be. But we're going to take a look at the major shapes, one off the bar chord for our 6th string, one off the 5th string, and then we'll look at the ones that are there for the minor chords. Now in the directions it suggests that you could go back and do exercises 1, 2, and then 4 through 10 to cover the keys that are also available in first position, and then you could come and do 11 through 25 to explore the keys anywhere else along the neck. I'm just going to go through these shapes with you. You're welcome to take that detail with it if you'd like to, but I'm just going to go through the shapes in one key. So we'll use the ones that are on the same page so we don't have to be flipping around. But we have on page 122, number 11 is B flat major. And so we'll do our 6th string forms. So there at the top of the page, our normal bar chord at this for B flat is barring at the 6th fret. So we have the B flat major. The next shape, it would be B flat over C. So we're over the 2nd step of the scale. And then we have one where we're over the 3rd. So B flat over D. We have one where we're B flat over E flat. So we're over the 4th. We have B flat over F. So we're over the 5th. Here's a shape for B flat over G, which is the 6th. And then B flat over the major 7th. And then we have the B flat chord. Now in example 11, there at the end it calls for B flat over A flat first. If we look down on the page at the dominant 7th shape, we have our B flat chord over the A flat. Dominant 7th shared there, so chord over the flatted 7th. And that's a common sound we get with flatted 7th chords. So if we played that last couple of bars, we would have as is if we start for the B flat over G. Then we have B flat over A flat, B flat over A, and then back to B flat. You can also play the whole 6th string version. You can kind of see a scale coming out of this. We have the root, then the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flatted 7, natural 7, and octave. And basically we're taking our bar chord and we're sort of manipulating that, using at least part of the chord to play those from that very scale. So, flatted 7, natural 7, and then D flat. So a scale 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. With the root, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and then the flatted 7th is right below it, and then the 8. So 6, flat 7, 7, and 8. If we look then at the number 12, we're looking at the minor chord forms. So if we're going to take that and make it minor, we have B flat minor then. We use B flat minor. And we can see our minor shapes. We have the minor, and then we're going to have that minor chord over the flatted 3rd. We got that minor chord over the 4th. So we've got that minor chord over the 5th, and we got the minor chord over the flatted 7th. And then of course we'd have our minor chord again. So we have a root, a flatted 3rd, a 4, a 5, and a flatted 7th. We're taking our bar chords, so root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. Interesting enough, these are the notes of a minor pentatonic scale. If you're interested in this kind of theory, we go over this kind of stuff in the theory and technique book within the method series, and also in the improvisation books, books on improvisation. Yeah, baby. So, so we have that flatted 3rd, or the root, and then we have that flatted 3rd, which is there, and then we have the 4th, which is there, and then we have the 5th and the flatted 7th. Let's take a look now at number 13. So this is E flat. So we're going to switch to the other shapes. So we have our normal E flat bar chord. So we're going to do the ones that are based off the 5th string now. So we have an E flat there. We're still barring at the 5th string. So we have E flat, and we could also, it's written with it muted on top, but we could technically play that top one. We've got the E flat, and then we got E flat over F, E flat over G, E flat over A flat, and then E flat over B flat, E flat over C. Let's insert the E flat over D flat from the dominant 7th shape, and then E flat over D natural, and then E flat. So again, there at the end, under the dominant 7th shape, you'll see that you have the E flat. It's 1 fret higher on the 6th string from the little bar. And then we have the D natural for the major, and then another way of playing E flat. So on this one, we're kind of moving and using a scale that's a little different, because we're going root, 2, 3, and then instead of going higher, we go up to the 4, so root 2, 3, 4, we're keeping those pitches all on the same string, and then we're going lower, 5, 6, flat 7, 7, 8, so keeps us on those low strings. So here we go again, we've got E flat, and then we have E flat over F, E flat over G, which is the 3rd, E flat over A flat, the 4th, E flat over a low B flat, which is the 5th, over the C, which is the 6th, E flat over the D flat, flat 7th, D natural, and then another way of playing an E flat chord. Let's look at E flat minor now, so number 14. This will give us a chance to work on our shapes off the 5th string, so with the root on the 5th string. We'll still be barring at that 6th fret, but we'll have our 5th string forms. Now with the 5th string forms, like the 6th string forms, there's sort of a scale that forms where these alternate bass notes come from, and in this case it's also the minor pentatonic. So we have the root, the flatted 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the flatted 7th. Although in this case the flatted 7th is up there on the 3rd string, or we'll have our chord shape. One of those fingers is on the 3rd string, so we're actually going to reach down to the 6th string to catch that flatted 7th. So we have the E flat minor, and then we're over the flatted 3rd, which is G flat, over the 4th, A flat, over the 5th, B flat, and then over that flatted 7th, D flat, and then we're back to E flat minor. Some of these shapes actually correlate with the types of chords that we're going to play later, as I mentioned. For example, playing an E flat over C is actually could also be described as a C minor 7. So we're going to see some of these chords in a little more practical way, perhaps later, but sometimes we will have them written in our songs as slash chords. The reason they're really written as slash chords often facilitates what's happening in the bass line. So a common thing that happens, for example, G to D over F sharp down to E minor. So if we're going D to a G chord to an E minor, it's really cool to have this bass note kind of step down rather than going D up to the D and then down to an E. We can facilitate stepwise motion in the bass notes of our chords, and sometimes that's a really cool thing to do. doing that also creates cool voice leading within the chords. So the next thing we're going to do, like I mentioned, you can do 1 and 2 and then 4 through 10 to practice these in different keys. That's a great thing to do, just sort of iron them out and figure them out. You can also do 11 through 25 and practice them in that, and you will get all these major chords and then the minor chords in all 12, and I should say that major triad over a flatted 7th, which we sometimes see with the flatted 7th chords. You could get those all over the neck and in every key. So that'd be great practice to go further with it if you're interested in that. The next thing we're going to do in the lesson, though, is we're going to play some of these in context. And so we're going to go over to page 123 and start playing some progressions with some of these and have some fun doing that. So let's go there. Okay, so we're going to start with number 26, Pop Music Progression V5. We're going to practice using slash chords sort of in musical context. These chord progressions come from various types of situations in pop music, rock music, country music, folk music, where we use this sort of thing. So in the first one, we have C add 9. The last lesson in the book, you might remember that C add 9, we've got our middle finger at the 3rd fret, 5th string, our index finger, 2nd fret, 4th string, and then our ring finger and pinkies at the 3rd fret on the 2nd and 1st string. In between, we have the open notes. So C add 9. We're going to go to G over B. Each one of the slash chords that are used, an example will be written there for you to borrow from. G over B, it's written with that G on top, because in this particular song you get the C add 9 to the G over B. But you could choose, a lot of times with G over B, people will just play it on the inside. So with number 26, we're going to go down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. The rest of the chords should be familiar. 1, 2, ready, and we got C add 9, G over B, C, E minor, we got C add 9, G over B, C, and D. Let's repeat, C add 9, G over B, C, E minor, C add 9, G over B, C, and D. Going on, we got C, D, G, D, and E minor. Let's do that again. C, D, G, D, E minor. And we got C, D, E minor, and C. This is a great introduction. Let's go on now to number 27, Pop Music Progression W5. So this one's going to have an F over A, and it's going to have D over A. So take a look at those two, F over A and D over A. For the F over A, we're just fingering our 4 string F and then putting the open A string below it. For the D over A, we're just fingering our D and putting that open A string over it. So it's kind of easy. On this one, we're seeing this slash chords used over this A kind of pedal. We have an A minor chord, then D over A, then F over A, then A minor. It's a way of getting this sort of harmonic and melodic movement all over the same bass note. So we're going to use down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, ready, and A minor, D over A, F over A, A minor, again A minor, D over A, F over A minor, again A minor, D over A, F over A minor. One more time. D over A, F over A over A. Let's flip over to page 124 now. We'll do number 28, Pop Music Progression X5. This one's going to bring back in that G over B. We've already done some G over B. You can flip back and review that if you need to. My index is at the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then my ring and pinky are on the 3rd fret of the 1st and 2nd strings. It's like playing G but taking it off and moving up to that B. So we're going to go down, down, up, slap, down, up, down, up, down, up, slap, down, up, down, up. Here you go. 1, 2, ready, and A minor. G over B. C. G over B. A minor. G over B. And C. There on C. Let's look at page or number 29 now. Pop Music Progression Y5. On this one, we're going to use that F over A again and G over B. So they're both written there as little reminders for this page, but we've played both of these before. So this one's in 3/4 time. Bass, down, up, bass, down, up, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. We got C, F. We got C, G over B, F over A. Repeat C, F, C. G over B, F over A, going on C, G over B, F over A, G over B, C. You have to repeat. Repeat once more, C. Going on, we're back to C, G over B, F over A, G. Then we got C, A minor, F, C, G over B, F over A, repeat. G over B, F over A, and C. Okay, so let's go on to number 30 on page 125. This is Pop Music Progression Z5. With this one, we're going to work on D over F sharp. Sometimes D over F sharp gets played without that extra note on top and it just gets muted. That's another common way. A over E. Sometimes A over E doesn't get played as the full 6 strings, but we're going to do it here. Sometimes it just gets played as the top 4 strings. And we're going to do D over A again. So we got our D chord over the A. So those are going to be there. We're going to use this down, 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 up, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. On this one, we got 2 chords per bar, so D, 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 D. That's sort of how that goes, and as we're doing that, we make sure we're switching on that first up. D, switch. Down, 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 switch. Just like so. So you go 1, 2, ready, and we got D, G, D, A, repeat, D, G, D, A, repeat, and D, G, D, A, once more, D, Okay, there we are. Let's go on to number 31 now. We're going to do pop music progression A6. In this one, we're using a G major 7th over B. We haven't yet learned about G major 7ths, but we're going to learn about those later on in the book, major 7th chords. But here we're doing one over the B note instead of a G, and we're going to do an A over F sharp. So with that A over F sharp there, you can choose to finger it with the top string open as written. A lot of times I'll play this one and sort of mute that string. I think it's a little easier. You can just bar and put your finger there. So that's up to you really. In this song, we're also going to use the D over F sharp, so you could also use that top string or get it in there. And then, yeah, we're going to have that G over B. G major 7 over B. We're going to use down, down, up, down, up, down, up. There is a spot in this song on the last line where we have a change of time signature. Occasionally this happens in music. In this particular song, we have a move from 4/4 time to a measure where we only have 2/4 time, and then we get back to 4/4 time. So on that last line, we have the A for 2 beats. When we do this, we have to adjust our strumming pattern, obviously. In this case, we'll use just the first half for the 2/4, and then we'll go on and have it. So we're going to have the A to the G major 7 over B. So again, we'll have the A to the G major 7 over B. So we're going to have down, down, up, and then down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Again, we're going to have the A, and then that G major 7 over B. We have that happen again. We're going to have the A to the D, and then E, and then A. So you have a couple places where it interrupts and creates a little change in the time feel. So let's practice that. We've got A to the G over B, and then A to D, E, and then A. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the whole thing. Number 31. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and we've got the A, D over F sharp, A, D, E, A over As we were playing that last one, I kind of said that G major 7 over B a little. I didn't quite say that right while focusing on playing. It's a cool sounding chord. Okay, let's go over to page 126 now, and we'll do number 32, pop music progression B6. We're going to go down, down, up, down, up on this one. We're going to use G over B again and D over F sharp again. So on both of those chords, sometimes the top string will be muted, and that's completely fine. A minor over G is our new one. So we're going to play A minor, and then to play it over G, we've got A minor, we use our pinky to play that G note on the 3rd fret, 6th string. Mute the 5th string. Sometimes on this one the top string won't necessarily be played either. Just that sometimes happens, just sounds too high, and sometimes we do like it. So you can kind of do it the way you want. So we're going to go down, down, up, down, up. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and C. G over B. Alright, so let's go on to number 33 now, pop music progression C6. This one has a C over G. So in catching that from our normal C, we're going to take our ring finger down to the G note on the 3rd fret, 6th string, put our pinky back on the C, so C, 3rd fret, 5th string. And then we're going to have an F over G in this one, so we're going to create our F chord. Move our ring finger to that 3rd fret, 6th string, and then our pinky is going to stay 3rd fret, 4th string. We have F over A again. And we're going to go down, up, slap, down, up, down, up. Keep in mind when there's 2 chords per bar that we switch after the slap. So down, up, slap, switch. You can actually switch while you're slapping if you want to. So in that second measure, we can practice that one a couple times. Just goes just like that. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, we got C, F over A, G over B, and C, F, G, A minor, F, G over B, and C, F over A, G over B, and C. We got the F, kind of tricky trying to spit those chord symbols out vocally while playing these chords. Okay, so we'll look at number 34 on page 127. We have F over C. So we have our F chord, 4 4th string F, we're going to move our ring finger up to that C on 3rd fret, 5th string, and then put our pinky back where the other one was, 3rd fret, 4th string. For the G over C, you could play it with different fingers. The example there says 3 and 4, but we're going to play 3rd fret of the 5th string and 3rd fret of the top string. The ones in between are open. And then we'll have C over G again. So this number 34 is a little tricky, just because it's some of these new chords. In a way, they're all tricky as we're learning new chords. But the reason that the ring finger and the pinky are the suggested fingering is that when switching back and forth between C and G over C, you can just flow right off of that ring finger, and then F over C, you can leave that ring finger there as a way to sort of anchor yourself. So you have C and then the G over C, F over C. You're going to have a lot of movements where there's that. We have the C over G on the last bar of the second line to a G. After seeing all these, we start to feel a little dyslexic, I think. So F over C, and then you're going to have C over G to G. So F over C, C over G to G. So F over C, and then you got the C over G to G. The 3rd line is also a little tricky where we have that C coming in on beat 4, so you're going to have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. Again, down, down, up, down, up, down. Again, and the last line, totally A-okay, easy peasy. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and we got G over C. C, back to C. We've got the C to G over C, F over C, and we got the C over G to G. Minor, C, D minor, D minor, C, D minor, and C. Okay, let's take a look at number 35 now. This one we have a D sus over E. We haven't yet learned about sus chords. We're going to learn about them in the next lesson. But here we have a D sus chord over the E. So it can be played a number of ways with your fingers. There's some suggestions there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You could also use some little bars. And then this one also has D over F sharp and D over A, which we've played before. The strumming pattern on this one goes down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. It's a great pattern. Before we play it, let's take a look at a couple spots. So at the 3rd line, the first 2 measures, we're going to have the D to the D sus over E to D over F sharp. So a lot to finger there. D sus over E. Remember that we anticipate, so on the first up strum is where we want to catch that next chord. D sus over E, and then to the D over F sharp. G. Let's do that much again. And D sus over E to the D over F sharp. One more time, and D sus over E to the D over F sharp. Now to the G. So then on the last 2 measures of the 4th line, let's look there, where we've got the A to the D over F sharp to the G, back to the D over F sharp. So A, D over F sharp to the G, to the D over F sharp. Again, and A to the D over F sharp, G to D over F sharp. And it actually goes goes to G after that. Again, and A, D over F sharp to the G, to the D over F sharp. Alright, and then the last two measures of the next line. So the second to last line, we have E minor, D over F sharp, G, D over A. So again, and E minor, D over F sharp to the G, D over A. Once more, and E minor, D over F sharp to the G, D over A. Then on the last line, the first two measures, we have this G, D over F sharp, E minor, A, and we end there on D. Again, and we got G, D over F sharp to the E minor, A, to the D. Again, and G, D over F sharp, E minor, A, to the D. Okay, let's play the whole thing here. 1, 2, ready, and we got D. Alrighty, let's turn the page now. Go on to page 128. We'll do number 36. This one has D over G. This is a really cool sounding chord. We're also going to see the C over G again, and G over C again, and G over B again. So, this one, simple strumming pattern: down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. When playing the D over G, it's helpful to do a little bar, as is suggested. Grab, and I actually like to grab this one with my middle finger, or I should say, I like to do a bar, grab this one with my middle finger, and the second string, 3rd fret with my ring finger. Or sometimes I'll grab it as is written there, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But either way, whichever way is more comfortable for you, is totally fine. So in this one, we'll look at a couple tricky spots. There's places where there's 4 chords per bar. So it shouldn't be too hard at this point for us to play basic chords, 2 chords per bar. But in the last line, you'll see we have the G, and then a D over G, C over G, and back to G. Let's just play those a few times. So we have G, and then D over G, C over G, and back to G. This is keeping that over that pedal, bass tone. So we got G, D over G, C over G, back to G. One more time, G, D over G, C over G, back to G. Okay, so here we go. I won't always have time to actually say the name of the chords, but I'll do it as much as I can. But we'll go down, down, up, down, up, down, up. As we do this one where there's the 4 chords per bar, it's totally fine to just play each chord once, rather than worrying about doing down, down, up, down, up, down, up through that. But you could do it either way. Here we go. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, ready, and G, C, 7, G, C, 7, and then G, G, C, D7, G, C, D7, and then G, C, D7, E minor, C, G over B, D7, D, and C, G, C, G, C, D7, and G, C, D, G, Alright, let's move on to number 37. It's a little easier. It just has a D over F sharp where you can use that same strumming pattern though. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and G, D over F sharp, E minor, C, G, C, D, C, G, E minor, C, A minor, C, D, and G. Alright, let's do number 38, last one of this lesson, pop music progression H6. Just look over the chords here. We're going to have some review of ones we've had before. A minor we know, D over F sharp we're really familiar with, F over the A minor, F over C we've done a bit of, G over C we've done some. It's like taking a G chord, moving your ring finger up. Those ones inside are open. The D over the A string, C over G, G over B, and then A minor over G, D over G, F over G, all those over that same one, and then G over B, A over F sharp. You might remember I often play this one without letting the top string ring, so I just those inside ones, or totally fine to let that top string ring and play it as so or as so. A over E, it's that low 6th string open, and then E chord, G, and will be the C. We're just going to use down, down, up, up, down, up. 1, 2, ready, and A minor, D over F sharp, F over A minor, F over C, G over C, D over A, C over G, G over B, A minor over G, D over G, F over G, G over B, A over F sharp, A over E, G, and C. Okay, so that wraps us up with this lesson. A lot of these are really tricky. They show up from time to time in songs, so hope you've learned some new things, been challenged a little bit. I know it's even tricky for me trying to say the words while trying to play the chords at the same time. So in the next lesson we're going to move on to suspended chords. These are really cool sounds. We're going to learn about those. lesson 19, we'll learn about suspended fourth chords. In lesson 20, we'll learn about suspended two chords, sus two chords, and then we'll learn about dominant seventh chords with a suspended four as well. And so that's kind of what we had to look forward to. Great spending time with you. Take care. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For help with other guitar playing skills, check out more of my method books and the numerous lessons available as part of my online academy here on YouTube. You can find more information about me and my products at kristenbromley.com. Take care.